the Dropout. We're going to talk about this is the Dropout on Disney Plus. But I'm going to I'm going to set this timer going, and then I'm going to steal time from myself to do my Sonic the Hedgehog rant. So,
I love this.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the last time we were on here, I reviewed Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I said that it was a disappointment, and it was the film that you worried that Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was going to be. And Sonic the Hedgehog 1 ended up being a really good one. Now, over one of the past weekends, I actually watched Sonic the Hedgehog 1 again. And I was like, no, this is a good film. This is a brilliant film. And the second one does fall down there. So if anybody was thinking that I was just being a bit of a sourpuss because I was watching Sonic the Hedgehog 1 again beside an 8-year-old who had watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and had loved it and I thought it was brilliant and everything. And I was watching Sonic the Hedgehog 1 going, no, this is just a vastly superior film to the second one. So just thought I'd say that. Just thought I'd say I could go more into it, but no, I've already taken enough time from the Dropout, which I shall start off by saying I'm giving 5 stars. So it is, yeah. Honestly, the Dropout is a brilliant TV show. I cannot find much to fault. Actually, no. Honestly, I can't find anything to fault in this show, because so it is based on the story of Elizabeth Holmes, who founded a company called Theranos, and she was in Stanford University in the States. And the show is called The Dropout because she dropped out of Stanford University after her first year at the age of 19 because she had this idea for a company. She dropped out of Stanford and she took a whole bunch of people from Stanford with her, who ended up being her research team, trying to figure out how to make this idea work. And her idea was, you like, instead of taking blood through, like taking a whole bunch of blood from people with needles, and people are scared of needles and it makes taking the blood like, an ordeal for them. You prick They get a prick on a finger. You get one drop of blood, and from that one drop of blood you can diagnose a whole host of tests. So all you need is a drop of blood, and that was her hook. All you need is a drop of blood, or all you need is one drop. And it's all about how she builds up this company and how they build up this big massive company. It gets to the point where she is valued at $9 billion. She's on the front cover of magazines like Fortune and Time, and like, Wired, and people are talking about this Silicon Valley genius. And all the while, the big thing that nobody really seemed to push hard to find out was that the technology did not work. And
Ooh.
yeah, the technology did not work. The technology never worked. And it's all about, it follows her. So she's played by Amanda Seyfried, who has never been better. This is like, essentially, you're talking about Michelle Dockery, Holly, and we're saying like about how you meet you. I've got to go see what she was like in. I've got to go see what she was like in Downton, because everything I've seen is totally different from what I imagined she was like in Downton. And Amanda Seyfried, she's so good in this that it makes you go back and look at her filmography and wonder, where has this been hiding the whole time? Like, seriously, where has this been? I have never seen you do anything like this. I thought that you were essentially, if there was a film, you were the pretty one who was supposed to stand up there and be the pretty one, and then the film ends and you were the pretty one and we've forgotten about you. But in this, she is so good, when, like, especially when it goes to the whole idea of this Elizabeth Holmes character. What drives her? What drives her when she's a young person? What drives her to actually want to set up this company? What drives her? Because she just has this thing. She's like, when they ask her what you want to be, she's like, I want to be I want to be rich. I want to be rich. That's the whole thing. And you can feel, even when she goes to university, you can feel the impatience of this character to want to come up with a big idea quickly, because, oh, I'm running out of time. Oh, Steve Jobs, by the time he was this, he was that. Oh, Bill Gates, by the time he was this is what he'd achieved. I haven't achieved anything. I need to achieve something quick, 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 quick. And it goes into into that. It goes into the relationship she has with a guy called Sunny Balwani, who is about 20 years older than her, who she meets when she's 19, and how that ends up feeding into the company. And the bit I think it really, really excels in is when it goes into how this whole thing went so wrong so spectacularly, and all the steps that they took towards this thing going wrong so spectacularly, that as you're watching it, in the moment as they're making that decision, you can see how that makes sense to them. You can see how that makes sense. You can see how it's like, yeah, we should do this. Yeah, why should we do? We should do this. We should. And then a couple of episodes later, you're like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And I think it does a really good job of exploring what she did, the effect it had for women in Silicon Valley, the effect it had for medical startups, the why all these people believed her, all the different people they hoodwinked, and there's a scene at the end where her lawyer is walking behind her out of the office and is just trying to make her see the enormity of what's going on, and what has happened, what she's done. And there is the way Anna Seyfried plays that there's a bit of a disconnect where she doesn't quite relate to people the way most people do. So whether it's her being a bit on the spectrum or something like that, she doesn't quite. But I think the way Amanda Seyfried plays a really interesting character. Not, I mean, there's definitely villainous things. There's definitely villainous things that she did and that she got up to. But at the same time, there's also kind of like, but it's still a human being. And I love the approach this show takes, and I would totally recommend it. I think because there's quite a few different shows. Like, I know there's Inventing Anna on Netflix, which I have issues with, but I'm on the final episode of that. But there's quite a few different shows that are going into this whole modern capitalism thing. It all went wrong. How did this go wrong? And the Dropout, as far as I'm concerned, is head and shoulders above all of them. For examining the culture, how does this happen? How do you get people to stake their credibility on somebody who's just not credible? And it's 5 stars for the Dropout. I can not recommend it highly enough. Even the thing, Amanda Seyfried, even what she does with her voice, she does this really interesting thing with her voice, which has to do with a woman being around a group of men, and you get to see the evolution of that and how that comes, and it's just kind of like the thing is, even though this woman did bad things, it made me think, oh, good Lord, women have it hard in the corporate world. but let's move back to cinema. Unless